Hey, what's up? I'm Guy.
I'm John.
It's our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it. Give this video a like.
Yep. Also, podcast below in the description. We're going to have a lot of free agency talk all week long, Guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Get in on that pod. Okay, Nelson Agholor, John, according to Ian Rappaport, is headed to the New England Patriots after a great year with the Raiders. Great with a capital G. 48 catches, 8 touchdowns. He was go-to. I mean, you kind of, great with a capital G is an exaggeration, but he was
eight
really
touchdowns.
good.
8 touchdowns is a great season for a while.
And he was
great.
He was clutch.
Very good.
Right? He was clutch. He was a big play guy. He was clutch. It feels to me like Nelson Agholor's 31. He's not. He's 27. He'll turn 28 in May. The Raiders nailed it. They absolutely nailed it. But as you've always told me, you can't, just because you nailed it at one price, you can't then run it back at another price. And it's proven that they nailed it. Belichick wanted him. But was this the right thing to let him go? Not to re-sign Nelson Agholor. We don't know the money yet, but
I think part of team building is always replenishing through the draft while you have guys on future expiring deals, right? You want to keep your core guys for a decade. But most guys, I'd say, are on 2 to 3 little windows. Maybe you keep them a year. Maybe you sign them to 1-year deal and then see how it goes. But you're drafting through the draft to replace. You're using the draft to replace those guys' production, development, and ultimately thinking that you can find better, right? Find guys with higher ceilings. They didn't just use one draft pick on a wide receiver guy. They used the 12th overall pick on Henry Ruggs. And when you use the 12th overall pick, you expect that guy to be a star. And I'd say this year was not ideal, right? Given that the Raiders had a prolific offense, the other wide receivers in the draft were fucking awesome, and Ruggs wasn't very productive.
Well, of that group of 15 guys, he had the fewest catches, or whatever it was, like 13, whatever that first kind of tier of receivers. He had the fewest catches of all of them.
Yeah, and he was the first guy off the board.
He was the first one taken.
But I think the bright side, which you and me agree on, his talent was pretty evident. Just him running around, his ball skills. Like, it's not like a John Ross feel where it's like, this ain't good. There's a lot to work with.
Yeah.
But you have to force him in to become a starting player. Like, he has to be your starting wide receiver next year. Then they also took Bryan Edwards in the 3rd round.
Well, hold on. He was the second receiver they took in the 3rd round.
Well, the other guy that's gone, they traded him, right? Is on the Dolphins. He was like a hybrid running back wide receiver, Lynn Bowden Jr., who is one of your rare 3rd-round picks that does not even make it through training camp. Doesn't happen very often.
You're right. We could call him a running back. But yes, go on. Bryan Edwards.
But they got Bryan Edwards and Henry Ruggs. To me, once you draft those two guys, they have to play. And Waller's a star. You have Josh Jacobs. To me, you just cannot invest resources on Nelson Agholor for as awesome as he was. And I'd say, if you would ask Derek Carr, hey, Derek, we have the money. Do you want him back? Wouldn't you say without hesitation, Derek would have said yes, bring him back?
Absolutely.
Wouldn't you said all the offensive coaches would have said yes, bring him back? But it's part of the team building aspect, which is different. Look at the Packers. They re-signed Aaron Jones to, what essentially $13 million signing bonus. It might just be equivalent of a 1-year deal. But Jamal Williams, they let go, who's a free agent, because they drafted A.J. Dillon. Most people thought A.J. Dillon would take over for both of them. They kept one of them. You always got to be replenishing. And the Raiders doubled down, but to me, it just didn't double down. They took a guy 12th overall. Like, that guy has to become their number 1 wide receiver guy.
Yeah, I think the good news, you and I early talked about this a lot during the season last year, and you mentioned it, it wasn't a John Ross situation. There was something there. And then on top of that, now he battled injury, but when you saw Bryan Edwards, I think there was something there. So they got something there. I think the only question was, would Gruden overspend because he had this guy, Nelson Agholor, that they nailed? Like, they bought low on that stock and nailed it. Would they overextend themselves? That's not a position at a non-position of need. Obviously now we know that the answer is no to that. I think for Belichick, it's a great signing, not knowing the money. But I think for Bill, it's, I think, like I said, I think it's a great signing.
I think the thing with the Raiders is it's a pretty big loss, right? Like, I can say all you want, like, Ruggs has to become that, and they clearly think that too, but that's an unknown. Like, can Ruggs get you 75 catches? Right? I mean, last year, you got Waller, who's your star 100-catch guy. The next, you got Renfro, who is very dependent on other people, right? If you have a good tight end and a good wide receiver, Renfro can get you 60 catches. But Renfro can't be, if Ruggs is, not figuring it out, and Bryan Edwards one of those untapped potential, all of a sudden Renfrow isn't as productive. One of the reasons Renfrow can crush, they're running the ball. They got Waller. They have Agholor who's scoring touchdowns. Like they do. Is it crazy depending on what they do in free agency? And they just signed a pass rusher. I think more's coming, that they could take a wide receiver with the 15th overall pick, or they don't take 15th or 19th or wherever they draft.
Man, it seems like you're admitting we didn't draft a number 1 receiver 12 last year if you do that. Which if you know you didn't draft a number 1 receiver in Henry Ruggs, then it makes it less crazy, but it makes the pick worse. But yeah, I think it would be a little crazy.
Yeah, you probably, but it's not. It wouldn't be crazy for them to take a guy in the 2nd or 3rd round, right? I mean, their best. They're just. I like Henry Ruggs, but you factor in the production, there's just an unknown. A lot of pressure is on him. Yeah. Now, that's what comes with being the 12th overall pick.
Yeah. What about? Well,
like, maybe do you feel confident that Henry Ruggs can get him 70 catches next year?
No, I don't.
That's I think
26.
kind of.
It's not 50.
I just think when you look around the league, like Jordan Jefferson, Ayuk, these guys were just produced right away, and I think all those guys. If I just
but part of that's on the coach.
No, I know, but CeeDee Lamb, Jefferson, Ayuk, T. Higgins, some of these guys. If I say how many catches, you'd be like, I think all those guys are going to expect 70 to 80, right?
This is why you predicted they might trade for Kenny Golladay.
Yeah. Oh, it's just.
Or I guess sign it or Allen Robinson.
Yeah, there's just a lot of there's just unknown there, guy. I'm hyping up Edwards and Ruggs, who I like both of them, especially the way Ruggs runs and the way Edwards looks. They combined for 37 catches.
I know.
I mean, and 3 touchdowns. Like I'm expecting 100 between the two of them, and like 10. Like I'm expecting enormous jumps, and I think that's kind of unfair. That's not very.
You know what's unfair to?
The kids,
Derek Carr. It's unfair to Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Now he still has Waller. Like we got to talk about the tight end when we talk about the pass catchers, right?
Yeah, but we already. I mean, they're just so dependent on that guy.
To me, I do wonder if there's another. I would guess. I mean, just think of the guys we just talked about, right? They're all young. I would think Gruden's inclined to go veteran receiver over drafting a guy in the 2nd round,
like another Agholor type, $4 or $5 million.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just keep? I guess we were waiting on the money to keep Agholor
because we think he's going to be more expensive than that.
Yeah. I think the bottom line to this guy, they need Henry Ruggs to be a player. Whenever you take a guy, and this speaks for anyone in the draft, you take a guy in the top 15 at a position like that, and then you let other guys walk, the pressure, the magnifying glass of the whole, the fan base, the coaching staff, the quarterback staring at that guy.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Not even fair.